Have you ever noticed that the moment you say, "I'm having the worst luck," everything suddenly feels like proof? You spill your coffee, your phone dies, the traffic light turns red the second you get there. And then, almost instantly, your brain whispers, "Yep, today is cursed." But here's the weird part. Nothing supernatural has to happen for luck to feel real. Your brain is so good at finding patterns, so desperate to predict the future, and so uncomfortable with randomness that it can turn coincidence into destiny. And that raises a strange question. Do we believe in luck because luck exists? Or because the human brain cannot stand the idea that life might be random? Let's start with a simple experiment. Imagine two people take the same exam. One studied hard, slept well, and walked in confident. The other barely studied, guessed half the questions, and somehow scored higher. What do we call that? Luck. Now imagine the opposite. Someone studies for weeks, knows the material, but gets the exact questions they are weakest on. What do we call that? Bad luck. Luck is the label we give to the gap between what we think should happen and what actually happens. It's how we explain the uncomfortable space between effort and outcome. Because deep down, we want the world to be fair. We want good choices to lead to good results. We want hard work to guarantee success. We want bad decisions to have consequences. But life does not always behave like a clean math equation. Sometimes the most qualified person doesn't get the job. Sometimes the healthiest person gets sick. Sometimes the worst team wins the game. Sometimes you meet someone by accident, and that one random moment changes your entire life. And when the world feels unpredictable, luck gives chaos a name. But the belief in luck goes even deeper than that. Our brains evolved to survive, not to tell perfect truth. For early humans, seeing patterns was life or death. If a rustle in the grass happened right before a predator appeared, your brain remembered that. If eating a certain berry made someone sick, your brain remembered that too. The brain's rule was simple. Better to see a pattern that isn't there than miss a pattern that could kill you. That survival system is still inside us. Except now, instead of predators in the grass, we're looking for signs in test scores, sports games, job interviews, relationships, money, and random bad days. You wore a certain hoodie and your team won? Lucky hoodie. You used a specific pen and passed an exam? Lucky pen. You avoided stepping on a crack and nothing bad happened? Maybe that worked. Logically, we know the hoodie did not score the points. The pen did not download knowledge into your brain. The crack in the sidewalk did not control reality. But emotionally, it feels safer to believe we had some control. That's one of the biggest reasons we believe in luck. Luck often gives us the illusion of control. And weirdly, that illusion can actually help. Think about athletes. A basketball player does the same exact free throw routine every time. A baseball player refuses to change socks during a winning streak. A fighter walks into the arena with the same song, same steps, same ritual. Are those rituals magical? Probably not, but they calm the nervous system. They create familiarity. They tell the brain, we've done this before. And when the brain feels calmer, performance can improve. So sometimes, lucky rituals don't work because they change the universe. They work because they change us. The lucky object doesn't control reality. It controls anxiety. And that's where luck gets fascinating. Because in many cases, believing in luck changes how people behave. If you think you're lucky, you may take more chances. You may start conversations. You may apply for opportunities. You may notice openings that other people ignore. And if you think you're unlucky, you may do the opposite. You hesitate. You expect rejection. You avoid risks. You stop looking. Then your belief starts becoming your reality. Not because luck is magic, but because belief changes attention. Attention changes behavior. Behavior changes outcomes. There's a famous idea that lucky people are often better at noticing opportunities. Imagine two people walking down the street. One is stressed, staring at the ground, thinking nothing good ever happens to me. The other is relaxed, looking around, open to the world. If there's a $20 bill on the sidewalk, who is more likely to notice it? That's the strange secret. Some luck is not about what happens to you. It's about what you're prepared to see. But we also believe in luck because randomness is emotionally painful. The human brain hates the phrase "for no reason." Someone gets into a car accident. We ask, why? Someone survives something impossible. We ask, how? A person becomes famous from one video, while another works for years and gets ignored. We ask, what was the difference? Sometimes there is a reason: timing, skill, preparation, personality, strategy, environment. But sometimes, part of the answer really is randomness. And that is hard to accept, because randomness means you can do everything right and still lose. It also means someone else can do things wrong and still win. That feels unfair. So we invent stories. He was meant to be there. She was born lucky. That opportunity came at the perfect time. It was fate. These stories comfort us because they make life feel written instead of random. Luck becomes the narrator we use when we don't understand the plot. But here's the twist. Even if luck is partly random, it is not completely useless, because luck has ingredients. You cannot control every outcome, but you can increase the number of chances you give yourself. A person who meets 100 people is more likely to have a lucky connection than someone who meets 2. A person who creates 100 videos is more likely to have one go viral than someone who only talks about making videos. A student who does 1,000 practice questions is more likely to get a lucky exam than someone who studies vaguely and hopes for the best. From the outside, success often looks like luck. From the inside, it often looks like repeated exposure to possibility. Luck favors motion, not because the universe is rewarding you, but because motion creates more collisions, more attempts, more conversations, more failures, more feedback, more chances for something unexpected to happen. That's why the phrase "right place, right time" is only half true. You still had to be in places. You still had to show up. You still had to be available when the random moment arrived. And maybe that's the most useful way to think about luck. Not as magic, not as destiny, not as some invisible force choosing winners and losers, but as the meeting point between randomness and readiness. Randomness opens doors. Readiness decides whether you can walk through them. This is why people who work hard still talk about luck. Not because their work didn't matter, but because they understand something honest. Effort gets you into the game. Luck affects what happens inside it. And that humility matters, because believing everything is skill can make people arrogant. But believing everything is luck can make people helpless. The truth is somewhere in between. You are not in complete control, but you are also not powerless. You can't control the traffic light, but you can leave earlier. You can't control who sees your work, but you can keep making it better and put it in more places. You can't control every opportunity, but you can become the kind of person who is ready when one appears. So why do we believe in luck? Because we see patterns, because we crave control, because randomness scares us, because stories comfort us, because sometimes the world really does turn on tiny moments we could never predict. But maybe the better question is not, is luck real? Maybe the better question is, how do I become the kind of person luck can find? Because luck may be random, but being ready for it, that part is yours.